A lot of products say they're clean, but what does that really mean? At Ritual, we have very high standards for what clean really means. Like for our best-selling essential prenatal multivitamin, which is heavy metal tested, clean label project certified, and GMO-free. It features key mom-to-baby ingredients like folate for neural tube support, choline for baby's brain development, and omega-3 for brain and vision support. But our high standards don't stop there. All of the ingredients in our essential prenatal multivitamin are sourced through our made traceable supply chain, so it's clear where they come from and why they're there. Because clean isn't clean enough, especially during pregnancy. Shop Ritual for the support you deserve with 25% off at ritual.com/prenatal. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, it's Dr. Phil, and I'm coming to you with the real story. I have come to the conclusion that a bunch of so-called journalists in the legacy media have decided that you are stupid. Stupid, I tell you. They apparently think they could tell you crap was candy and you would eat it. Perfect example. I saw a United States senator, and let me tell you, he wasn't exaggerating to make a point. He wasn't being sarcastic. He went on multiple outlets. CNN with Dana Bash, MSNBC, posted it on X, and there were other outlets out there as well.
The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
Now, he rambled on, so I picked just some of the statements I found most insulting to my sensibilities. And they were not questioned, they were not challenged, they were not even asked to be explained.
It appears as if America is trying to align itself with dictators, that Donald Trump wants us to have our closest relationships with despots all around the world, because that makes it easier for him to transition America into a kleptocratic oligarchy.
The way that you normalize that kind of government is to associate yourself with similar governments abroad, like the Kremlin.
Really? The White House has become an arm of the Kremlin? Donald Trump wants us to have our closest relationship with despots all around the world because that makes it easier for him to transition America into a kleptocratic oligarchy where Elon Musk and Donald Trump rule and steal from the American people? Seriously, if we were allied with democracies, that would make it harder. But if the United States' closest partner is Russia, then it makes it a lot easier for Donald Trump and Elon and their billionaire pals to steal from the American people, to steal our data, our Medicare, to steal our Medicaid in order to enrich themselves. Come on. Since I don't think you're stupid, like a lot of legacy media outlets apparently do, I want you to just weigh this commonsensically with me for a minute. Klepto-oligarchy, let me tell you what that means. It means corrupt leaders with political power to steal, embezzle, misappropriate, take bribes, kickbacks, and ship them all off to foreign countries that they plan to flee to later. Look, I've spent a lot of my time focusing on why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do. And to reason through this, it does not require that you like or support Trump, Musk, Doge, the Republicans, none of the above. It doesn't even require that you be Democrat or Republican. Just that you think, critically think, and use common sense. Look, I wrote some of these things down because they were so important to me. You can decide Trump is a moron if you want to. I disagree, but it doesn't matter. You can decide that Musk is an idiot, a lucky psychopath. Maybe he became the richest man on planet Earth because he was just, I don't know, in the right place at the right time. Whatever you want to tell yourself. But Musk is worth $394.2 billion, and he's 53 years old, which means maybe he's got 30 years of life expectancy left. If he works an 8-hour day, he makes $12 million an hour, $200,247 a minute. But the theory is he's motivated to steal Aunt Edna's Medicare check? Come on. He's saying all of this, and these journalists are not even pushing back?
A means towards transitioning our democracy to something very, very different, something we've never ever seen before in this country.
Mm-hmm. So, Senator, what is the next step? What are you hearing right now?
Really? Look for motivation here. Dana Bash, for example, at one point after he calls not just Musk, but the President of the United States of America an outright thief, on the air says, well, there was a lot there.
But if the United States' closest partner is Russia, then it makes it a lot easier for Donald Trump, Elon, and their billionaire pals to steal from the American people, to steal our data, to steal our Medicare, to steal our Medicaid in order to enrich themselves.
There was a lot there.
What about, wait a minute, do you have any proof? What do you base these allegations on? Go back to this kleptocratic oligarchy. That means you're stealing, you're shipping this off to some foreign country. You're saying, do you have any proof of that? We are the most powerful country in the world. Why would we become an arm of a lesser country? One that is so weak they're having to abduct men to take to the front in the war with Ukraine. How about, excuse me, Senator, Musk is the wealthiest man on the planet. He's making almost $100 million a day. Why would he need to steal Joe Bob's money? Why would he need to steal Aunt Edna's money? And then if that is all true, isn't that treason? Why would you then say to your colleagues, I'll let everybody decide if they want to go to the speech? If you really believe that was true, my God, I would think you would be so up in arms, you couldn't even sit here. Look, this is a land of free speech. But if you're a U.S. Senator, is there a point at which trying to be compelling becomes reckless? If you're employed as a journalist, but you don't ask common sense questions, why do we even need you? Is there a point where unchallenged accusations contribute to inciting people to violence, unrest, whatever? Is it possible to question assertions based on common sense? Well, I think so. James Freeman did it on this very story in the Wall Street Journal. I read it myself. Tara Suter with The Hill wrote about it, and she questioned Marco Rubio and whether he was doing what people thought he should be doing. She didn't go so far as to call the president an outright thief. Look, this is. I understand politics are sometimes divisive. People get upset. I get that. That may be all I understand about politics, but come on. You got to be a critical thinker. You can't let these legacy media types who clearly have an agenda, because they're not telling you the real story. You have to think for yourself. You've got to use critical thinking. You've got to look at something and say, all right, wait a minute, let me just break that down like I've done. I sat down, broke it down, made up notes, and asked myself, does this make common sense? You can't rely on them. They're not doing their job. Don't rely on me. If anything I tell you won't withstand challenge, kick it to the curb. Rely on yourself. Think for yourself. Make up your own decisions. I'm going to tell you what I think the real story is. Use that. Put that into the mix. But make up your own mind. You shouldn't substitute my judgment for your own, and you damn sure shouldn't substitute their judgment for your own. Think for yourself. I support your doing so. I'll see you next time when I talk about the real story.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call. You talk to one of them, they stay anonymous. I can't hang up. That's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today. Beautiful Anonymous.